welcome to Exmo Radio. I'm your host, Jeff Jarvis, and over here is your other host.
Co-host, Tracy Partridge Johnson.
Well, if you say co-host and I say host, that makes me sound more important.
Wow.
And I'm not more important than you.
Thank you. I appreciate that equality in our relationship.
Maybe I'm the co-host and you're the host. Well, we're ex-Mormons, and we want to talk about Mormonism, ex-Mormonism, or whatever else you might want to talk about. Our number is 503
616-2663.
That's 503-616-2663. You can call in at any time. Today we're talking about homosexuality, gay marriage in the church.
Yep, and the church.
So what do you have to say about it?
Kind of a hot topic. I read a story this morning. It's not directly related to gay marriage. Well, kind of in a way it is. I read it on Reddit. There was a story that was tweeted on Twitter this morning.
I think tweeted is the right way to say it because it's Twitter. It's not tweeter.
That's right. You're right. Yeah, we're following Reddit. Ex-Mormon, their ex-Mormon group on Reddit. And anyhow, one of the things that they posted was about a Sunday school experience that I found quite disturbing. And I'll just summarize here. Basically, the story is this. There's a new family that just joined the church last year, just becoming active. They have a 17-year-old son and his best friend, his BFF, guy friend, who was having a horrid experience in his own home, moved in with this family, okay? So to give you a little bit of background. So this kid is 16, 17, and he came out to the host mom as being gay, that he's gay. And so this kid starts attending church with them.
Even though he's gay.
And I don't know. I'm not clear on whether or not he's actually LDS or not.
All right.
But anyhow, so this just happened like recently, this incident. So he goes to Sunday school. Sunday school teacher is a female. And she is talking about gay marriage, and anyhow, bottom line, she outs him. The host mom had talked to the Sunday school teacher and the bishop in private and let them know in confidentiality that he's gay so that they can be sensitive to this fact. Well, in Sunday school, they're talking about the sanctity of marriage, and this kid mentions that he thinks that, God would love people regardless of their sexual preference. And the Sunday school teacher begins to chastise him openly in class in front of the other people and tells him, we're going to role play now. You're going to play the straight married guy so that you can have an eternal marriage and go to the temple. That even if you're gay, you can still be happy and gratified in a straight marriage so that you can participate in Heavenly Father's plan of salvation.
So they're putting on a little pageant for this guy, singling him out and saying, now we're going to put on a little pageant for you and you're going to pretend like you're straight. And how does this work? How do you do this in Sunday school?
She's just trying to teach him a morality lesson about the fact that it's a choice that he's gay, and he gets to just push that down.
I think I'll just be gay now. I've decided I just want to be gay now.
Mm-hmm.
Just
exactly,
because I don't like women anymore.
Yeah, right. So yeah, you just ignore it. Just ignore the fact that you have these natural inclinations.
Well, the thing that pisses me off is that they shame the kid in class.
Right.
They made an example out of him. That really kind of pisses me off.
It pisses me off in a big way. Yeah.
So where was this again?
This was the incident, or where was it published?
The incident. Was this in Utah?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it was in Utah or not. But just the fact that, the whole belief in the Mormon church about being gay, because obviously, lots of the leaders have come out to say we're supposed to be, and I'm not including myself in that, but anyway, the membership of the church is supposed to be loving and kind and compassionate, and it's okay if you're homosexual, but you can't act on those feelings.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
The leaders of the church. And we know what Dallin Oaks says about the leaders of the church.
It's wrong to criticize leaders of the church, even if the criticism is true.
How do you like that?
Yeah, that blew my mind when I heard that.
It's wrong to criticize leaders of the church, even when the criticism is true. Thank you, Elder Oaks.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I have a bone to pick with Elder Oaks. I think he's wrong, and I'm going to criticize him for being wrong.
There you go. Well, that statement that we many times, or many active members of the church have heard from the pulpit, as far as once the brethren have spoken, the thinking's been done.
Pharisee Oaks.
Yeah, Pharisee. That's
Pharisee
probably more
Oaks.
accurate.
He's the jurist of the group. He's the lifelong lawyer, and I don't know if he was a judge. I believe he might have been. I don't know. I don't know his biography.
I don't either.
Shame on me, because I used to be a Mormon and I should have known. But I've been out for long enough now that I have an excuse.
Right.
So he's the one who got sort of tasked with the damage control.
Right.
After Proposition 8, after the fallout from all of that started to come down onto the church, he's the one who, being the jurist, was the one who, he gave a speech at BYU about religious freedom. And then he's done some interviews, I guess, sort of defending the speech now. He's not only been criticized, the church isn't just being criticized for their stand on gay marriage, but also he's been criticized for coming out and giving this speech about religious freedom, because apparently he's just trying to justify the church's stand on the Prop 8. He's trying to justify for the members, probably more than anybody.
Right.
But he's trying to say that he's trying to compare religious freedom to secular freedom, and say somehow that because people of faith are going to the polls and voting their faith, that they have a right to do that. That secular freedom doesn't trump religious freedom or something like that. Okay, you Mormons here, listen to me. I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. The whole frickin' reason we're here on earth, according to y'all, and the whole frickin' reason you have a gospel in Jesus and a plan of salvation and all that is over one issue. One. Okay? That issue being, are we going to let people decide for themselves what they're going to do? Leave them alone and mind our own business? Or are we going to go about using laws and whatever other means of coercion to force people to do the right thing? So when y'all vote and y'all say, I'm going to use the power of the law, this big old hammer, to say, you don't get to call your relationship marriage because that word belongs to us, fuck you. Fuck you. You're not even paying attention to your own. You belong with that third who rebelled, you idiots. You're trying to force people in the name of your religious freedom. But here's the thing. What they do in their life doesn't impact the sacredness of your marriage. Nobody's forcing you to have gay weddings in your ceiling rooms at your temple. Nobody's forcing you as a religious institution to perform or sanctify any relationship that goes outside of the ones that you preach in your little gospel of yours are the truth.
See,
but outside of that, get your mutts off my freedom, you frickers.
See, that's the thing I don't get either about the whole preserving the sanctity or protecting the sanctity of marriage. And that's this. Fine. And, if you want to, go to the Bible and, talk about the sanctity of marriage and everything, that's all fine and dandy. Keep marriage inside of the church. And only there should it be, sanctified.
Yeah.
But the government doesn't have any business sanctifying anything. Sanctity is the role of religion. And as we all know, separation of church and state. And so I don't have any problem whatsoever with marriage being a sanctified union and a religious institution, if that's
within the context of their beliefs,
right?
and their practices and their traditions and all that. That's their freedom of association, freedom to practice their faith. Nobody wants to interfere
when
with
it
that.
bleeds over into governmental benefits and restrictions and tax benefits and all that kind of stuff, I do not agree with that at all. And I just don't understand. I don't understand how gay people getting married, how does that negatively impact a heterosexual's marriage?
Well,
it doesn't affect me at all.
You see the word. They have a fetish for the word. That's the only thing I can think of.
Right.
This word, we can't taint the word because the word has a meaning and y'all are trying to come along and redefine it. Okay, I understand that maybe you don't want the word redefined, so then let's do this. You can keep the fucking word. I don't give a damn about the word.
Right.
At a government level then, let's get rid of the word at a government level. You can say anything you want about the word at your church level, and in your church you can define it to mean anything you want to. Nobody's telling you what you can and can't do inside your church.
Right.
But leave that shit in your church, because as soon as you bring that out of the church and go into the polls, and y'all who think your vote is a referendum on what you think is right or wrong, how things should be for everybody, fuck you! You don't get to impose your morality on others. You may think you do. You may think that because a majority of people voted for something, that intrinsically makes it right, but all that is mob rule. And that's bullshit.
Exactly.
Mob rule is complete crap. What you got to have is equal protection under the law for everybody, regardless.
Exactly.
Regardless. And the law and the church are separate. So y'all go and render unto God the things that are God's, your marriage being male and female only, and then let Caesar worry about frickin' Caesar.
Right. Because, see, that's the thing is, when did... Well, this is like kind of a silly question, but when did marriage, the sanctity of marriage, when did religion and government become so entwined on this issue? Well, if we go way, way, way back when there were matriarchal societies, this is kind of a rant, but, and all of the lands and the properties and the money were passed down from mother to daughter. It's all about
control.
Yep, it's all about controlling the stuff.
Power.
Yeah, so really marriage, I mean, if women were to do some research, they'd find out that really marriage is about ownership. Regardless, that's what it is.
That's right.
My wife, my husband,
property, my
stuff.
Well, the ring is the, in contract law, there has to be an exchange of value in order for a contract to be valued. It's money or a piece of property, or there has to be some tangible economic value trade hands. So the wedding ring, I suppose, symbolizes that. There's a tangible exchange of property from one partner to the other.
At least in Western society.
Sure. Therefore, the contract is now full. I suppose that the dowry once upon a time might have been what that was all about, is the ring all that's left of the dowry now. And in fact, the ring is given from the man to the woman instead of the dowry coming from the woman to the man. I think it used to come from the woman, didn't it?
It did, yeah. It was like an exchange, like you said.
Daddy had to give up part of his empire in order to make the new husband give him a leg up.
Exactly.
So he could take care of his daughter.
So really, when we're talking about it, isn't it the sanctity of marriage we're talking about? We're talking about the exchange of goods and control. That's what we're talking about.
I have a question for any of you fucking hypocrites who want to talk about the sanctity of marriage. I bet you about half of you are divorced.
Oh, I was just looking at
maybe in the Mormon church less
morning.
than that, maybe a quarter to a third or something like that, but it's still ridiculously high given how sacred marriage supposedly is to them. It's what the Lord has put together that people
let no man
cannot
put asunder,
but unless it's inconvenient, or unless I can't stand the way he is always nagging on me to get my housework done. But I'm tired. I'm taking care of the children all day. And he doesn't understand the blah, 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 blah. And she doesn't understand the blah, blah, blah. And yada, 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 and blah. And you fucking hypocrites.
Yeah. So as far as the sanctity of marriage goes, I don't even know how you can divide that out from government. But man, so many gay and lesbian couples have suffered a lot of abuse of power just because of the fact that, you know, they didn't have a piece of paper from the government saying, you know, we approve of your union.
For example, you can't visit a sick one, a dying loved one in the hospital, your partner.
Because you're not family.
Right. You're not family.
Right. I mean, I think that that's changing in a lot of places, fortunately. But even still, you know, a lot of people, I hear from LDS people and a lot of other Christians saying, oh, you know, why do the gays and the lesbians have to, like, use the word marriage? Civil union is just as good. But guess what? No, it's not.
See, there you go. It's about the word.
Yep.
They can't stand sharing the word. They need to own the word. We need to own a word because, you know, that's what it says in the Bible. In the beginning was the word.
Yeah, but the government...
We need to own the word.
The government does not provide the same protections and benefits, though, to civil union people as
That's
they do
right.
to married people. And
That is
that's the
correct.
problem right there.
So, government, get the ding-dang frickin' heck out of the marriage business. It's none of your business.
Yeah.
To be in the business of that business.
Exactly. But since government is in that business and it seems almost irreparable that there's no way to turn it back,
Then
guess
equal
what?
protection,
Equal
right?
protection under the law.
Absolutely
That's
right. Equal protection under the law for, and you know, the Mormons, another just, God, hypocrisy. The whole one man and one woman marriage thing.
Oh my gosh.
Really? How
No
about one
kidding.
man and however many women you can get
Yeah.
to marry you? How about that, huh?
Yeah.
How about alternate marriage lifestyles? Okay, so at least that's still hetero, but really?
Yeah.
Come on.
No, the whole polygamy thing, and everybody, if you're a member of the church, you know that even though polygamy has been eliminated in the church in this lifetime, it is fully enforced in the afterlife, in the hereafter.
Your holy harems.
Yes.
Get your holy harem.
Only for the guys, though, not for the chicks.
So call and talk to us,
Yeah.
whether you're Mormon, whether you're an ex-Mormon, whether you're just curious, whether you're a gay person and you want to tell the Mormons where to stick it, whatever, 503-616-2663. The line is open. Uncensored talk. We're ready to take your call. And remember what Dallin Oaks said.
It's wrong to criticize leaders of the church, even if the criticism is true.
So if you call in, whatever you do, don't criticize the leaders of the church or the Mormons. It's wrong to criticize them too.
It's wrong to criticize the Mormons, even if the criticism is true.
You're so sneaky, Jeff.
It's wrong to criticize limiting marriage to a man and a woman, even if the criticism is true.
Well, I disagree. I think it's okay to criticize limiting marriage to a man and a woman, even if the criticism is true.
Oh, the magic of technology.
Did you notice how he has that whine, that Mormon whine, when he says, even if the criticism is true? It's like, whine.
I know, it's true.
That was,
it's that meter.
oh, Hinckley was... He was the
He
whine
was a
guy.
whiner. Oh,
Every
my
sentence
gosh.
of his ended in meh.
Yeah.
He couldn't say anything without whining. That inflection just meh.
I know, it sounds so defensive. It's like I'm on the defensive all the time, constantly. That's my standard protocol.
Yeah.
So all right. So let's go a different direction then. How about this justification that the church gives and that many Mormons and Christians give, as far as saying that it's not natural for, you know, people of the same sex to want to be sexually active with one
Define
another.
natural.
Exactly. That's a really good
What do they mean
question.
by natural?
Right, because here's my contention. So what about hermaphrodites? And what about all the other examples in nature of gay activity.
Well,
Homosexual
God has
activity.
his plan, and it's sometimes mysterious and incomprehensible to us. So we just know that we need to live within the commandments. So if you're a hermaphrodite, you got to pick whether you're going to be a hole or a prong.
I can't pick because God created me to be both.
Well,
and that obviously was God's plan
if
for
you're
me.
going to be a prong, sew the whole shut. And if you're going to be a hole, chop the prong off. And get ye to the Templar with some, what do? Do they check the chromosomes to decide?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. But here's the thing. Even outside of taking it to those extremes, which some people would probably say, oh, those are extreme examples.
Well, they're
guess
God's
what?
children,
That's
right? If you believe in that.
But I forgot where I was going with that.
I don't.
Oh, no. What I was going to say is, even if you're not using those examples, just looking, a lot of people say they're not biologically born that way. They're not born that way. They choose it. It's a choice. You decide. You actively decide if you want to pursue that lifestyle or not. And I say, you know what? I am not in control of what I'm attracted to by nature.
It's the most ridiculous
sexually,
thing you could
especially.
say. Yeah, it's the stupidest thing you could say to a person. Just your average heterosexual guy absolutely positively knows how. If you're a heterosexual guy, just look inside yourself and ask yourself, do I have the option to choose homosexuality as a lifestyle? Do I have the option right now to say, I'm just going to quit being horny for the ladies and I'm just going to start burning for the gents? I don't know. That's not going to happen because if you can't get a hard on thinking about a cock, you're not gay. Sorry, you just aren't.
Yeah, well, that's really the very direct way to say it, but it's true. I mean, the fact that homosexuality has always been out there, but especially since, the internet and everything, it's a lot more visible. I don't think there's any way you can get around the fact that almost everyone has been exposed to the idea, right? And so if you're honest with yourself, I seriously doubt that there is any person who knows about, homosexuality, who hasn't conceived of the possibility that, what would it be like if I was gay? Right? And if you go to that place, if you're not gay, if you're not a lesbian or you're not, bi, at least, if you might be able to go to that place in your mind and think about it. But I think that thinking about it and acting on it are two different things.
Well, I have to take issue with one thing you said. Thinking about it, saying, I wonder what it would be like to be gay. The only answer I can come up with is, I have no fucking idea. I have no way to conceive of what it would be like to be gay, because in order to understand that, I would have to get a hard on when I think about cocks. And I don't. So when I imagine that, all I get is boo, 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 boo. Ugh. Not for me. Thank you very much. It's like mushrooms on a pizza. Get them away from me, okay? It's nothing personal against the mushrooms, and it's nothing personal against the man units or the men that have them in their trousers. It's simply the fact that the idea makes me feel icky.
Right.
It doesn't arouse me, and it says, ugh, get away from that. So I can't, so if a person gets into their head and go, I can see where maybe blah, blah, well, then they're probably at least bi-curious at the very least. They're not straight up heterosexual. They have a natural curiosity. It's something they're maybe titillated over. That's what we mean by born with it. It's there or it's not. You don't sit down and go, wow, I wasn't titillated. I'm going to have to try again because I really want to be. I want to be turned on by man junk.
And we'll just put it out there that, we are hetero and stuff, but and we're so adamant about equal rights for all adults, So my point being, I guess, that I think that a lot of people have conceived of the idea of experimenting. And even if but most people that are hetero who've thought about experimenting or wondering what that would be like, don't follow through with it if they're not really gay.
They don't follow through with it unless it gives them a boinker.
Well, and you're only talking about from the male perspective, but unless it turns you on, unless you get hot for it.
Yeah, if you get the juice, then you are going to be at least tempted to follow through with it. But if you don't get the juice, no way. You're not even... No.
Right, you're right. But I think that there's probably also a segment that, that may experiment maybe even once or twice to see if that really does work for them. And
I'm pretty sure it's because they have a little juice in their drawers
maybe
when they think about it, or they wouldn't be out there experimenting with it.
But unless you can pursue that as a lifestyle choice, no. So I guess I'm going into all of this detail on this issue because of the whole gay agenda, and no, it's not, it's not a biological thing, it's a choice thing. And I just don't believe that. I believe that you are attracted because you're attracted.
Does the gay have an agenda? Just like if you catch the gay, do you then get tuned in on what the agenda is? Does the gay beam it into your brain? Is it
I don't know.
Is it like a extraterrestrial life force that gets into you like a disease, and you catch the gay, and then you suddenly understand the agenda?
I don't know, but you know what I'm talking about, right? You've
I
heard
know
the gay
that
agenda.
I've heard the words,
and it's like
I have no idea what
this
this gay agenda is.
Plan, like all of the gays and lesbians out there just have this plan that, like the Mormon Church, they're going to go out and proselyte.
Agenda.
They're proselytizing, and they're out there recruiting members. We
got to stop that Mormon agenda.
Did you hear what I said?
Members, yes, they're recruiting members.
That was kind of funny. Tricky.
You have to have a penis to have the priesthood.
It's true.
So you have to have a penis to be a gay man.
Well, obviously.
So what do priesthood holders and gay men have in common?
I am not going there, Jeff.
All I'm saying is that if you're a priesthood holder, you're already partly gay. Because you have the part you need to be gay. Doesn't that make you partly gay? Because you have the part?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Sorry. I'm not going there. But, gay is it's obviously doesn't choose genders. It's homosexual, either one,
Yeah, and to say gay, let's not even say gay. Let's just say not traditional hetero. Because that then encompasses everything else.
Right, lesbian, questioning, transgender, all
bisexual,
that kind of stuff. Bisexual, yes.
The hermaphrodite ones.
Right.
Those, who have
more than one
flexible junk.
Yes, flexible junk.
Or whatever.
Yes, multiple junks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just really have a contention with this whole it's not natural thing.
Tell the bonobos that it's not natural.
Right.
They're screwing all the time, and they don't care which gender they screw. They're all gay. They're all bisexual. They just screw.
Yeah, explain to our listeners what bonobos are if they don't know what they are.
They are, they look pretty much like chimpanzees, but they're the chimpanzees' milder, hornier cousins. We are more closely related to the chimps and the bonobos than to any other species on the planet. They are our first cousins. So, we're very closely related to animals who practice gaydom with wild abandon.
Gaydom. All right, so I'm looking at LDS.org, which is one of the official websites for the LDS Church. It's got the logo on here, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and the topic here is same-sex attraction. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it talks about the church's doctrinal position being clear. Sexual activity should only occur between a man and a woman who are married. However, that should never be used as justification for unkindness. Jesus Christ, whom we follow, was clear in his condemnation of sexual immorality,
I don't get
but never cruel.
What do they mean as justification for unkindness? How would sex should only be between a man and a woman be used as justification for unkindness? Are they saying don't go around slamming gays in the head?
I guess that's what they're saying.
Oh, well, okay. Why don't they just say that? Hey, y'all, Mormons, don't go around slamming gays. Don't, love them. You still need to love them, right?
That's basically what they're saying here.
They're God's children. You're supposed to care about them and serve them and do good unto them and all that stuff, right?
Yeah. So a little further down the page, it talks about the divine institution of marriage. The church distinguishes between same-sex attraction and behavior. While maintaining that feelings and inclinations toward the same sex are not inherently sinful, engaging in homosexual behavior is in conflict with the doctrinal principle based on sacred scripture that marriage between a man and a woman is essential to the Creator's plan for the eternal destiny of his children.
Well, it's a good thing that doctrine is completely made up then.
I'll go a little bit.
With no basis in truth.
I'll go
None.
a little bit.
Zero.
He goes, because the church believes that the sacred powers of procreation are to be exercised only between a man and a woman lawfully wedded as husband and wife, any other sexual relations, including those between persons of the same gender, undermine the divinely created institution of the family.
No, they don't, because there is no divinely instituted family thing. It's just the way it worked out in nature. So they're wrong. It doesn't undermine anything except their own need to be in control. Look, here's what the real issue is. The real issue, in my opinion, is this. They can't have gay men sitting together in church as a couple. They just can't have that. That just, you can't know, but they would have to. They can't tell you can't come to sacrament meeting, and they can't tell you can't sit by who you want to sit by. But if everybody knows these are two gay men and they're legally and lawfully married, and they're coming to church and sitting in church together, that's going to make it real uncomfortable for everybody else. I mean, so they just, no, they can't have that. They got to prevent that at all costs. And that, in my opinion, is the core of what the brethren are worried about.
Yeah, I want to come back to that in a minute, but I was just thinking about the fact that, the church is so concerned with protecting the family unit. Well, and they go back to the whole thing in the Garden of Eden about, multiply and replenish the earth, that God, gave, Adam, Eve, and that commanded them to go out and, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. I think the earth is pretty replenished right now. I don't think we really need to worry too much about the fact that gay people aren't reproducing, and even still they can because of technology.
They're not creating bodies for those little spirits who need to, that's all for the spirits. It's not, obviously there's not enough people on earth yet because there's more spirits that need to get born out from the pre-existence. In fact,
well, freaking send him to one of those other worlds.
Well, I suppose there has to be a cutoff point somewhere, doesn't there?
I know.
At least as far as this earth goes. Mm-hmm. Like, there's going to be a time at which the last, well, if you believe in the non-true Mormon theology, they think there's going to be a time when Jesus finally comes back and does all that stuff where the earth is transformed and everybody's resurrected and stuff, and basically the end game, right?
Right.
Plays out the end game. Well, there's not like little kids being born onto earth anymore then to be tested for their, which of the three kingdoms they're going to land in. So obviously there's going to be a last person born on earth at some point.
Sounds like it.
In that whole cycle. So that would mean there's a limited supply of spirits for this particular rock.
Right, because God the Father, correct me if I'm wrong here, it's been a long time since I was in the church, and I haven't reviewed this doctrine for a long time, but wouldn't it be doctrinally correct to say that God the Father has multiple worlds?
Oh, without end.
Without end. So, if we're getting overcrowded here, what's the problem with sending some spirit children over to, some of those other worlds?
No, the ones that are allocated for this one have to come here. That's the deal. God doesn't change his plans just because we think there's too many people on the planet, right?
Well, clearly he doesn't think there's too many people on the planet.
Well, you just need to take what the brethren say and run with it.
Yes.
And they say that's what it is. Because if you listen to the still small voice, you'll leave the church.
It's true. That's exactly, the still small voice is what led me out of the church.
Yeah, if you want to call it that.
The
closest thing you could call to a still small voice is the little part of me on the inside that was always going, something isn't right here.
Right.
Exactly. Why is this thing not delivering what it promises to deliver for me? Why is this not working out? Why am I not getting a testimony regardless of how much I pray, no matter how much I read the scriptures, no matter how many times I go to the temple, no matter any of that? And, you go to the bishop and you can tell him, about, I just don't feel like I'm having a testimony and everything. And you just be completely honest with them, and they'll say, oh, that's normal. And it's just, it comes over time. And as you live and do and more, it will come to you and it will grow and it will become stronger and stronger. So just keep doing all that stuff. Keep paying your tithing, keep going to the temple, keep reading the scriptures, keep blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, it doesn't work.
Yeah,
fails.
I find it interesting.
Moroni 10, 3-5 is boo crap.
I find it interesting that, and this is a little sidebar, but that in both of our cases, it wasn't the fact that we weren't active and just wanted to live a radical lifestyle.
Oh, we just wanted to sin.
It's the absolute opposite. I mean, we were both studying aggressively, and trying to follow the church to the T,
Forsooth.
And,
Verily.
You read, it doesn't take very much to research to find lots of references talking about how intellectuals are the people who leave the church.
Oh, my God. I remember my whole growing up being warned against smart
Don't be too smart.
Yeah. Which is really ironic because the glory of God is intelligence. So which is it? Which is it?
Exactly.
Derp.
I remember I actually left the church several times before it really stuck because, there's so much fear and intimidation and fear, and trepidation and all those kind of words that go along with actually leaving the church, especially if your whole family and your whole culture are so steeped in, in the church and so devout. But I remember after the first time leaving, I wasn't in Utah. I was living in Kansas at the time, and I become friends with the Relief Society president. And so I called her up after I was having this crisis of faith, and I was talking to her, and I knew that she was a convert. She had been Catholic, and she wasn't very much older than me, probably 35 or 40 at the time. And I was talking to her on the phone and telling her what I was thinking about all my doubts and how I'd studied everything. And there were so many problems and so many inconsistencies. And I remember that I don't know if I can quote exactly what she said to me, but essentially she said, things of the spirit cannot be intellectually perceived. And that I had...
Then why do we have scriptures?
I had to ignore what my mind was telling me and listen to my heart.
Then why, when we were teaching the missionary discussions, we were taught to ask people, when you read the Book of Mormon, stop and ask yourself, think about it. Could any man have written this book? They wanted you to use reason to decide that the Book of Mormon was way too, out of this world to have just been written by a dude that had to have been done by, divine inspiration.
Yeah.
There's all kinds. I guarantee you pick up any conference report, you'll find talks about think it through. They'll use that language all the time until when it supports them, they'll use it.
Right, when it supports them.
Reason is fine as long as it supports their case.
Right.
So I got a word to say to all you Mormons out there.
What's that?
That should sound slightly familiar to you temple folk. I got a word to say to all you Mormons out there. You're not living up to every word of the covenants you made. You're hypocrites. And it's okay with me. I don't really care, but y'all are screwing other people's lives over.
That's the thing.
You need to stop that shit.
Right.
You need to stop it right now.
Screwing other people's lives over.
Yeah.
And what is it that Jesus said about, judge not that ye be not judged? I don't get how Mormons and Christians can spout that or say they embrace it, but they certainly don't live it. It's so hypocritical.
They're not trying to judge the homosexuals. They're trying to defend the sanctity of marriage. It's that word again. They're hung up on the idea of a word, and they can't let other people have their word because in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, word.
Yeah.
Brother.
Right.
Words. How about some deeds, motherfuckers? Don't you all? At least the Mormons have that part. Unlike the rest of the hypocritical Christian world, at least the Mormons believe that you got to get out and do everything you can. That the grace of Lord, he took Jesus' sacrifice to like cleanse our sins. We can't do it ourselves. They buy that with the Christians that we need a savior.
Right.
But they believe that like Jesus only gets you to like 99.44%.
Right. After all that you can do.
Whatever your maximum output is toward the impossibly huge task of redeeming yourself, he'll meet you there.
Right.
But if you don't do everything you can, because he's never going 100% for nobody. That's what they teach. No 100% free pass.
Right.
No get out of jail.
You got to put in your own effort.
You got right.
But I mean, biblical Christianity also, has the by their fruits you shall know them thing.
Well, they're hypocrites. They also think you need to be doing the right thing. Otherwise, you're not really a Christian.
But, but about the whole homosexuality thing, I mean, so a lot of, and I group Mormons and Christians together because on this issue, I think that they're pretty aligned across the board on this. They think the same thing as Mormons do. So, don't you think that a lot of active LDS people just take the position, say you have a relative that is gay, that is, attracted to the opposite sex. Don't you think a lot of those people take the position of, just get over it, just get your life together,
just get over the gay?
Yeah, just get over it. If you just do what you were supposed to do,
Yeah, I'm sure of it.
I know that that's the way it is for a lot of people in the church. And it's just, I think that to a large degree, they just don't want to deal with it. They don't want to face it.
Yeah.
But because now it's like so in their face, it's becoming more and more of a public issue. And so now they have to, and it's like,
Well, if God didn't want any gay people, why did he make some people be attracted to other people? Why?
Right. That's a really great question. Why?
If you don't want fags, don't make fags. That seems simple enough. You're all powerful. You're almighty.
This is your challenge in life. This is one of the rocks in your bag. That you have challenges that you need to overcome in this lifetime. But really, why? I mean, if that whole thing is so against God's plan, why would he just throw you, a curve like that?
Well, God is all wise and all knowing, right?
We don't know his plan.
God knows.
Right.
Well, somebody call and tell us how smart God is. 503-616
2663.
Way to go. 503-616-2663. If you're listening, you're the only person. All right. So a little while back, Pharisee Oaks gave a talk, like I was telling you about this whole thing with the aftermath, the blowback from the
Prop 8.
From Prop 8.
Mm-hmm.
And I went through it and I found some salient bits. Here they are.
Okay.
I wouldn't deny a lifelong interest in violating the forbidden proposition. It's a burning urge of major dimension.
Wow.
Wow.
I think maybe he's sounds like somebody might be thinking about going for the gay.
Somebody might have put some words in his mouth. Well, the words came out of his mouth, saying. Obviously.
I'm pretty sure it's not words that would be going into that mouth.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So no. So what do you think about psychological impact, for people who really are gay and lesbian and their families, how they feel about even coming out to their families? Like people get suicidal.
Here's how I think about it.
I wouldn't deny a lifelong interest in violating the forbidden proposition. It's a burning urge. It's a burning urge. Okay. Major dimension.
Major dimension.
All right. That's funny. But seriously, what do you think about that? Say you're a teenager and you're having a hard enough time as it is, just being a teenager.
Yes.
But you've got this other issue, pressure. Not only from your class in school, all of your friends and stuff. You freaking don't dare come out and say that you're gay to your friends.
Can you imagine being in Happy Valley and having to grow up gay and having to keep that secret to yourself, there's no way you'd be accepted there.
No way.
You'd be tortured.
Yeah.
Well, Utah has a relatively high rate of teen suicide.
Used to be the highest back in the day. I haven't checked the statistics lately.
I'm willing to go out on a limb and guess that a fair amount of that has to do with being gay.
I bet a lot of it does too.
People just can't handle living there anymore, and there's no escape for them. That's where their family lives. They're teenagers. Where are they going to go?
And they don't feel like, not only can't they come out to their friends, they can't even come out to their family.
Yeah.
Or maybe vice versa. Not only can they can't come out to their family, they can't even come out to their friends.
They have no place to go, no people they can turn to for love and support and encouragement, and there's certainly not going to be many opportunities to just feel like you're normal, like you fit in.
Right.
No
not
way.
At all.
It's not designed for you there.
Yeah, so you'd be ostracized. You're compelled to live a life that is a lie. You can't be genuine and transparent and tell the truth. You're compelled to lie about the reality of who you are. And I do know that there are a lot, and back to the Sunday school teacher story, I remember in the story on Reddit that it said that she mentioned to this 17-year-old kid, hey, I know lots of men who are gay who just got married and went to the temple and got married and had children and got over it, basically.
We had a fella in our ward who was on the high council. Mm-hmm. And he seemed a little light in the shoes. He was, a little bit on the fruity tooty.
Probably gay.
And he had
anyway.
in order to have and then be in the bishopric and all that, there was some lady in the ward who they were a horrible match for each other, but it got match made, I think, by the bishop and whatever, and they both agreed that they needed to fulfill the covenant, so they didn't get married to be in love with each other, they didn't get married so that they could really be celestial partners. They got married to fulfill their celestial covenant, right? And that shit didn't last.
I bet that is probably the best path you can take if you want to stay in the church. I don't know why you would, but if you want, well, I do know why, but anyway, if you want to stay an active member of the church and you are gay or lesbian and you don't dare come out, about it, I think that probably the best thing you could do, I'm not advocating this, I'm just saying, trying to imagine being in their shoes. I think the best thing you could do would be to do something like that. Find a partner.
Fake one out.
You know what? Find one of the opposite who's in the same situation. If you're a guy who's gay, find a lesbian chick in the church that is, likewise burdened, and just say, hey, you know what? We're just going to get married for appearances.
So you're faking your Mormgasms.
Yes. Yeah, because
then you're both living a lie.
Right, you are, but at least you're able to whatever. It's ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous.
Then you still have this burning urge.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to do it because you'd have to be deceitful on every level, because in order to be sexually fulfilled, both of you would have to be okay with each of you going out and having.
Hey man, it's not about being
people.
Sexually fulfilled. It's about following Jesus.
Yeah.
And it's not even about following Jesus. It's about following the prophet. And they don't call him Jesus usually. They call him the Savior. And if they do call him Jesus, they always be sure to tack on what's definitely not his last name, Christ, but they sure seem to think it is, even though it's a title and it should be Christ Jesus, because you don't say Johnson Bishop, you say Bishop Johnson.
Yeah, exactly.
Gee whiz. You don't say you don't say Monson President. So why do you say Jesus Christ? It's supposed to be Christ Jesus. Get a clue. Use the language in its proper vernacular arrangements of grammatitude. Grammaticatude.
So I know that when I first Well, it wasn't when I first left the church, because I first started leaving the church. It was prior to 1986, which dates me. But I already had my 3 kids. They were all young, and we were living in Kansas, and that's when I first started questioning. And I actually got back into the church.
Just like Dorothy, you questioned reality.
Yeah.
In Kansas.
I got back into the church for a little while, and I actually went to the temple after that. I got my own endowment after that.
Which temple?
I went to the Manti Temple.
And did they do the live
sessions? There? I only went to 3.
All at Manti?
All at Manti.
So you never saw the movie?
Nope, I never saw the movie.
And you would have seen the old movie. They remade the movies in the 90s. For all I know, they've remade them again. But the movies you would have seen were the movies from the 60s if you'd have seen them, but you didn't see them.
No, I didn't see them.
They were lame.
That's what I've heard. But I heard that Michael Ballum?
Yes.
Ballum?
Yes, Michael
Isn't
Ballum.
he the one? I heard he played an excellent Satan in the newer movies.
He did. I thought he was really
he has
good.
A great voice.
Yeah.
I
in fact, all the times I went to the temple, that was my most enjoyable part, was watching him portray Satan.
Yeah.
That's the only time I actually felt like I was having a good time.
See, I'm kind of envious. I wish I could have seen that, just for the entertainment factor.
I know, huh? Somebody should
yeah.
get in there and pirate the thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's a pirate copy of it on YouTube.
There might be. We could look.
We should find out.
But the whole reason I gave this little backstory, started telling the little backstory, is that I felt so isolated and alone, and I really hid what was going on with me from my family and everybody, because it was so, mind-jarring and difficult. But when
you might as well told them you were gay.
Seriously, I might as well have.
Even though you're not.
You know what? It's probably worse almost to be an apostate than to be gay.
Yeah, because if you're
at least
gay,
you can still go to church.
You can still give it the old try there.
Yeah, well, it's not like I couldn't have still gone to church, but I couldn't stand going to church after I knew the truth. But anyway, I digress. So when I moved back to Utah, and I had really, left the church again, for good this time, I got my first computer. It was 1996. And it was way back in the days of AOL.
That's the year I left the church.
I know.
Exmo.org.
Yeah, see, I had already been out since for almost 10 years. And I had really struggled and felt so isolated and alone. And after I got my first computer and I got on AOL, thank God, I found Exmo, the Exmo group on AOL.
Yeah, that's what made me feel like normal.
Oh my gosh,
I wasn't alone.
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, there were 300 other people on there at that time, only 300. But it was such a breath of fresh air. And long story short, what I'm getting back around to is that I remember from those discussions on that original Exmo group on AOL, people talking about the fact, and you might remember this too, I don't know if you do, but I remember some guys on there talking about the fact that they had been gay and gotten married and went to the temple just to fulfill their,
A lesbian and a gay man?
No, just he was gay.
Okay, and he had married some woman.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I think actually it was the woman. Do you remember this? The woman, and they were married for 25 years, and they finally got divorced, and he finally came out to her and told her that he was gay and that they'd had children together.
That doesn't sound familiar to me.
Everything.
I don't remember much about it, though. It's been almost 20 years now since I've spent much time there.
Yeah, me too. But I tell that whole story just to illustrate the fact that I think that it's not uncommon in the church for gay men or women to get married and go to the temple and have kids and everything and just deny who they really are.
That's interesting.
Don't you think?
And have kids?
Yes.
Well, how do you have
I guess you could facilitate.
Don't you have to?
Yes, you have to do the act.
But I mean, don't you have to be turned on before you can? Maybe not as much of an issue for the woman. She can just whatever, do her wifely duty, right? But how does the man sustain his for if he's not
yeah, we all know what you're talking about,
into
baby.
it?
We all get it. We all know what you're saying.
I try to reverse the idea and no.
Yeah, I hear you.
It wouldn't remain in its proper configuration,
Yes, I got you.
there would be a deflating influence on the outcome of the thing.
Yeah, I got you. I don't know. Yeah, they had kids together and everything. He must have, I guess, in people like that, in that instance, there must be like a bisexual aspect going on and not just
Yeah, I can
gay.
see if you're bisexual, that you could do that. And you just have to deny, at least you'd be able to have some sort of sexual fulfillment. You would have to
Right.
deny that one part of yourself.
But still, clearly primarily gay and wanting to be true to their gayness, but not being able to because of the influence of the church.
And here's the weird thing. We know just statistically that roughly 10% of the human race is born into this world non-hetero.
I don't know
In
about
some
that
way, shape, or
statistic.
form.
Have you looked that up?
You know, no, that's the one that's just floating out there.
Okay.
And-
Certainly a significant portion.
And so whatever that is, that's going to be the same inside the church.
Right.
There's going to be
It's a
percentage
microcosm of reality,
right, a
yeah.
percentage of the children born under the covenant.
Of society is what I meant, not reality.
Wow.
Anyway.
I'm just thinking about, even in temple marriages, the same percentage of children born in the covenant are going to turn out gay.
Right, exactly. And there's nothing the parents can do about it. And
Nor should they
here's the
care to do
thing.
anything about it.
Here's the thing that I'm just going like, duh. If you're a Mormon family, you're Mormon parents, and you do your duty, and you have 7 children, and you're like, and you raise your children up in the way that they should go, and they go to church, and they are all raised devout and
Yeah.
everything, and all of those kids are all going to church every Sunday, and they're doing their stuff, and they're holding their callings and everything else, and one of them's gay. Don't you have to stop and go, maybe there's something in the biology there that changed because everybody else is not. And that particular child didn't have an influence on anyone else in the family. And we're all just, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where'd it come from?
It's like, where did it, exactly. They came from the same genes. We had 7 kids, 1 in 7. And
Well, they're just choosing to want to be a sinner and to torture themselves for their whole life, not being able to actually sin the sin that they want to
right,
sin
even
more
though
than
we
anything
raised
else.
them all in the same way, we took them all to church every Sunday. We, did our family home evening and, read our scriptures and said our prayers and asked the Lord to protect us and watch over us and, bless us. And the priesthood, how about priesthood blessings and everything?
I know.
What?
It's because it doesn't work. The church doesn't work. The priesthood has no power. It's empty. It's void. It's completely fucking...
Yeah, that I have a testimony that you're right about.
Yes,
that.
I do too, because I've seen it. The empirical evidence says that it is
First-hand
so.
evidence
What?
for me.
We have this all healing power. Yeah, nobody's getting healed.
That's
There's
one of the
There's no
things.
power in the priesthood.
Oh my gosh. No, there's not. And, I had priesthood blessings growing up and stuff. And this is also a Christian thing. It just pisses me off because they always have an out. When there's God involved, there's always an out. It's like we pray that, that so-and-so will be healed, but thy will be done. So if the person is healed, then it was God that healed them. And if the person died, well, that must have been the God, that must have been God's plan. That must have been,
what happened to as you're moved on by the Holy Ghost, so it shall be, done. So if you're like feeling moved by the Ghost and you're given a blessing and you say, be healed, and they don't get up and be healed, then what?
Do you think that most priesthood brethren actually give a command to be healed? Don't they always have a caveat in there?
Yeah, mostly probably.
Don't they always have an out?
I'm sure there's some that do though. And I bet you their track record isn't, like
Very good.
100% or nothing.
That was
anywhere near it.
That was another thing that really bothered me when I was leaving the church is like I would see all of these Christians talking about all these miracles that have been done in their life and stuff, and I'm going, why don't I see miracles like this being done in the church and and we have the priesthood?
They're not really being done in the Christian church.
I know,
either.
but I'm just saying.
It doesn't work. Give it up. You guys are all delusional.
It's frustrating. So anyway, the reason I brought the priesthood into it is just that, if you've got, you were talking about, clearly your one kid just wanted to be radical and stuff. Well, if you raised them all the same way, if you used your priesthood, the power of the priesthood, and you conducted all your family meetings the way you're supposed to and read your scriptures and everything else, then what else can you attribute it to in this one child besides biology?
Well, that 1 week we missed family home evening. Mm-hmm. Bam! Gay.
Or otherwise, just influences outside of the family. But, obviously the all the scripture reading we're doing and all the priesthood power and everything else not having an influence.
The priesthood impotence. The impotence of the priesthood.
Because obviously, if it's their friends that are influencing them, then no blessings going on inside that kid's life, obviously.
Nope, zero. And you know what's really weird? We're almost out of time. Like, we've been on this thing for an hour, and we haven't had anybody listen or call, so we're not going to keep doing it.
All right, that's good with me.
Are we going to call it a day?
I think, this week we'll just go ahead and do an hour.
All right, the hour is over. We're done complaining about Mormons giving guff to the gays, at least for now, because Dallin Oaks has a burning urge.
Are you going to play that clip again, or are you just going to...
Sure, I got to play it once
more. I wouldn't deny a lifelong interest in violating the forbidden proposition. It's a burning urge. It's a burning urge, burning urge, burning urge, burning urge, burning urge, burning urge.
All right,
of
okay.
Major dimension.
All right.
So we'll see you guys again next week.